One of the first things I wanted to cover were the Madam Web plot rumors. There has been a lot of stuff in regards to Sony that has given me great concern over the last several years, chat. I mean, I feel like a lot of us have concerns and misgivings in regards to Sony's Spider-Man project. They're Spider-Man-less Spider-Man projects, just based on the quality of their past films. I mean, really, even going back to their Spider-Man stuff, like the Andrew Garfield movies, which I didn't feel like were very good in any form, in any case, nowhere whether they release a director's cut or an editor's cut or whatever it might have been, just bad. But I wanted to talk about this Madam Web thing and just my various, issues and concerns with it. I have an article here from the Direct. Just kind of read this, chat, and then we can kind of go into our, our discussion for this. One of the next films that Sony Pictures has in the works is Madam Web, with Dakota Johnson as the titular lead, directed by S.J. Clarkson, and based on a screenplay by Burke Sharpless and Matt Sazama. Never heard of any of these people. Madam Web is somewhat of a mystery project. The studio has yet to reveal many specifics in terms of character or plot since announcing the movie. While Dakota Johnson, is set to play Madam Web, it's unclear if she will portray Cassandra Webb, the character most associated with the name. Other reports have claimed that Madam Web is meant to be the Doctor Strange, quote-unquote, figurehead of Sony's Spider-Man universe. Mighty Thor, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to stream. Hope you're doing very well today. 20 months of critical support. Soon to be 2 years. Thank you. It has been widely speculated that Madam Web will either have some time travel elements or is perhaps a Spider-Man prequel for a number of reasons. At this point, it could be either of those options, particularly as set photos from July reveal that Madam Web will be at least partly set in the early 2000s, New York City, the setting for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. It is rumored from insiders that a mysterious Spider-Man villain will make use of time travel to try and kill a pregnant Mary Parker in order to prevent the birth of Spider-Man Peter Parker, thus freeing them from dealing with the wall crawler himself. What does that sound like? What particular movie or series of films does that sound exactly like, Jap? I'll come back to you guys in just a bit. Regardless of whether Madam Web involves time travel was entirely set in the early 2000s, it does seem that Sony wants to create a larger mythology for its Spider-Man universe. A terrible mythology. If a recent rumor turns out to be true, Madam Web may also feature Peter Parker's parents alongside Johnson's main character. So it'll explain the retro-looking, the Daily Bugle van. I love that 2000s is retro now, chap. It would also allow the film to start setting up the web-slinger in the SSU, which is Sony's Spider-Man universe. They're Sony's Spider-Man-less Spider-Man universe, even though Spider-Man has yet to appear in any of the SSU films. Fucking Christ. It does seem inevitable that characters like Venom, Kraven, Madam Web, and Morbius will at some point come into contact with the hero. Oh, God, what a horrible day that will be. For now, speculation is all fans have as Madam Web continues the film. So, chap, what does that sound like to you? And everyone is saying, from Sir Warwick to Aaron and everyone else, it's fucking Terminator, chat. They're doing Terminator with Spider-Man. The whole idea of a villain, of some evil force, going back in time to prevent the birth of the hero, that's straight up Terminator. Now listen, there's a lot of genre films, chat, across decades, nearly centuries, that have borrowed from other films, outright stolen other films, and they've been great. My problem is, I don't trust Sony because of the output of their recent films. Like, yes, I'll admit at the top, the Venom movies have been extraordinarily commercially successful. There's no denying that. I know. It's just that in terms of quality, I feel like they're shit. I feel like they're terrible movies, from the directing to the writing to the dialogue to the acting, chat. I've been very disappointed. We've had Morbius recently, which, just boring. Not even a situation like maybe even like the first Venom where it's like, oh, it's so bad, I can kind of laugh at it and enjoy it that way. Like Morbius just feels like, to me, a late 90s or early 2000s-esque superhero film. It's like, I thought we were done with these. Why are we going back? Why are we indulging in that really rough period of time for superhero films? This is a boring movie. And then we're hearing all this stuff about Kraven the Hunter, how that movie apparently is going to have, even though it's about Kraven, it's not following Kraven's character as we've seen him in the comics, as we come to expect him, chat. And where he's a big game hunter. He's a psychopath that hunts humans and superhumans. No, and the Kraven that we're getting in the Kraven the Hunter movie is an environmentalist who hunts poachers and is a vegetarian. It's like, what are you talking about? That's not Kraven. And to me, again, like in all the previous films, whether it be Morbius, whether it be Venom, they're softening the character, try to make him as or whoever else as mainstream as possible to get the widest audience in there to watch the film. Like, that's what they're doing. And they're not leaning into the attributes of what defines the characters in the comics, which I think is a huge mistake. And now with this movie where they're like, okay, like Madam Web, again, Madam Web is a character that I would say 99.99% of people don't even know exists. Like, if you were to, I think maybe if you had people who were watching the Spider-Man animated series in the 90s, they would know who Madam Web is. And again, a very small percentage who read the comics. But still, she's just not a very popular character, much the same way as Morbius was. And so the fact that they're making a time travel story is like, okay, time travel can be fun. It can also be really goofy. And, the science of that is obviously it's ridiculous. It's all mumbo jumbo, of course. But with Sony's track record, I'm not expecting anything that makes sense. I'm expecting something that honestly probably is nonsensical at best. So the fact that they're just going to do Terminator with Spider-Man, I don't know, that just sounds really boring to me. That just sounds like, okay, we have Spider-Man, and let's just pick another movie out of the hat and combine them. And they just happen to pick Terminator and go, oh, perfect. What's a character that deals with time travel? Madam Web? Oh, okay. Well, that's what it'll be. It'll be Madam Web. She's basically, that's what it is, chat. Like, Madam Web is going to be Kyle Reese, okay? She's going to be Kyle Reese, while whoever the other villain is going to be the Terminator. I'm speculating who would be the villain in this movie, chat, for this film. Like, I have no idea. And then you have Mary Parker, who apparently is allegedly, they're going back and forth. Like, either Emma Roberts is playing Mary Parker or May Parker, right? And then you have Adam Scott, who's allegedly playing either Richard Parker, who's the father of Peter Parker, Spider-Man, or Ben Parker in the film. But again, that's just like, it doesn't even sound like something I would want. Like, even the Terminator franchise has been floundering for years. I don't want another franchise like, hey, let's be Terminator. It's like, no, don't do that. Don't try to copy a franchise that has been fallen face first for the last, God, at this point, 20 plus years now. I'm just really concerned about this. It just feels like another unnecessary and unwanted film coming from Sony. I'm like trying to think, like, who would the villain even be in this movie? I'm trying to think. Maybe like one of the Smythes, Alistair Smythe or Spencer Smythe. I mean, they create the Spider Slayers. Like, they want to slay Spider. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm thinking Terminator. So I'm thinking, like, is it going to be the Smythes, chat? And they're gonna they're gonna literally send. I would laugh if they send a robot back into the past to kill Spider-Man, and the Spider Slayer is the Terminator. They might do. I would not put it past Sony to do that. And James Cameron, who's the owner of Terminator, Paramount, be like, what? Can you believe this? The gall. I would clap. I'd be like, wow, the balls on Sony to do that, chap. I'd be very surprised, but I don't know. I am not liking this news. This has me very concerned. What about you guys? Do you want a Madam Web movie? Who would the villain be in this film? Would you just prefer Spider-Man being bought by Disney so Sony can never hurt that boy again? Hurt that boy and his very supporting characters, chat. What about you guys? I'm curious. And thank you again. Let me go and thank that person. Thank you again, Mighty Thor, for subscribing again. 20 months of incredible support. Aunt May, the Aunt May spy film. They were going to make an Aunt May spy movie years ago. Mitch, I think they should do something new. Happy Friday, Vanja. Good to have you here. Madam Web, multi-web of webness. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Terminator Spider. Yes, Spider Sis, indeed. Yeah, Terminator 1 and 2. I feel old. Don't feel old, Casfe. And maybe the Terminator sequel we truly need is Madam Web. That would be amazing if it's better than any of the recent Terminator films. That'd be crazy. Rex is crap. I love it. Madam Web, the Mary Parker Chronicles. Spider-Nator. I feel the sads now. Oh, yes, me too. Morbius was a flop. Morbius was a commercial and critical flop. Venom was commercially successful, but Morbius was a commercial flop. They'll cure if they activities. Watch Chris, even if the movie takes place in New York, it will still feature a chase in LA. Well, always, they got to do it, man. They can't help themselves. Maybe it might take place in LA. Maybe they'll go to LA. Didn't need a Madam Web. None of us needed it. None of us were asking for it. Peter the Hunter. Yeah, very much Peter the Hunter. Gentlemen, I need a Schwarzenegger Spider. That'd be kind of cool if it's Schwarzenegger Spider-Man. Let's do it, chat. Did you Craven the Hunter movie where he hunts the lizard? Yeah, that'd be kind of neat. Rather see the Sandman Rhino comedy. You might get that. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, Madam Web villain is a robot. I think it will be. Now, I think it's going to be this. If I were to put money on it right now, it's going to be the Spider Slayers. It's going to be probably Spencer and Alistair Smythe, and they want to destroy Spider-Man, so they send their robots back in time to kill Mary Parker. I think that's what they're going to do. Let's see here. She could just show up in the next Spider-Verse movie only. That's it. We'll see. I'm sure she will. Man Web is a plot device, an interesting plot device, but she's never been a character of an arc. That's true. Yeah, that's all she's functioned as. Like, yeah, she's in the different dimensions in the past and the future, or whatever, what have you. That's a good point. So Man will be worse than Terminator. I don't know. It has the potential to be. Be as bad or worse, maybe better. We'll see. Terminator said, now he knows why people cry because of Sony. Regardless, Terminator, Peter. Moreland. I'm not a Moreland fan. I know a lot of people love Moreland, but I'm just not a Moreland fan. But I can see that. He does a lot of timey-wimey, mumbo jumbo, going back to the past, into the future. Yeah. Luke Boss, maybe I am numb to Sony movies, but to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing this film. You're a glutton for punishment. It doesn't seem like Sony has shit together. There's cool stuff they could do, like a horror movie with Kraven and Lizard. I've said this wasn't my idea, but Tosi brought up a while ago that if they were to do a Kraven movie and they can't use Spider-Man, do it like where it's the Predator, where you're following this team of these D-list supervillains. Like imagine it's the superior foes of Spider-Man, like the Beetle and Boomerang and Speed Demon and Shocker, and they're doing like a heist in like South America. But then Kraven's like, I want to hunt superhumans. And he starts picking them off or something. Like, that would be like a really cool movie. They did it that way. I'd be all for it. And you can lean into like that R rating, kind of make it, very much like the Predator, maybe like a James Gunn Suicide Squad-esque film. That's what I would love to see. I think that could work very well. Bakor, thank you so much for the 10 minutes, Bakor. Chris, you smart Caucasian of persuasion. Happy Friday. Good to have you here, Bakor. Welcome to the stream. Oh, let's see here. What if it ends in a plot twist? Adam Webb is Peter's real mom who got knocked up. I hope not. Richard and Mary both die, and the film ends with Madam Web handing Peter to Ben and May say it's Richard and Mary. Oh my God. I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past them. They could do a movie with Mysterio and it'd be more interesting. Yeah, you can bring back Mysterio. Terminator game coming soon like RoboCop. That's true. We reacted to it. Although the studio does not have the best pedigree. They should cross over with DC and make Deathstroke the villain since he was a Terminator before. I guess he was. He was Deathstroke the Terminator. Yes, never was a Madam Web fan. Probably my least favorite episodes of the cartoon. That's when they got really fucking goofy. Angela the Terrible, good to see you. Yeah, so Rourke, you legit need to be Hollywood producer. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got some ideas. I think that might be cool. I'll be talking about some ideas in a bit in regards to the Jurassic franchise. But yeah, Chad, like I said, I just have no confidence in Sony when it comes to Spider-Man. They've been mistreating the property for decades at this point. Even when they were doing movies about Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, like I thought those movies were all mediocre or terrible. And yeah, they just haven't made the only exception, the only weird outlier is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But I feel like that movie, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, how can that movie be as good as it is? Because that movie is so goddamn good. And then they can also produce a film like Morbius or Venom. It's like, I don't see, this doesn't make any sense. And the only thing I could think of it is that Sony just did not have any confidence in that. And they let Phil Lord and Chris Miller and all those filmmakers that worked on that film and brought that movie to life, just do whatever you want to do, whatever. We're going to concentrate on our shit that we care about. And then that movie became a huge success. And they're like, oh, and then they started greenlighting, sequels and spin-offs and TV shows. And it's like, that's the only thing I can think of. Because it just doesn't make any sense that the same creatives behind Morbius and Venom Let There Be Carnage also made Into the Spider. It's like, I can't wrap my head around it. So I think that's what it is. But Scott Luck, because they had no faith in it. I think that must have been it. And they were allowed to do whatever they wanted with that film, and they had very little Sony intervention. So that's, yeah, I know. Sony Animation, Sony Pictures, they're two different divisions of the company, but still, it's the Spider-Man property. That's the thing. It's the Spider-Man property. Like, it had Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who also have all their fucking fingerprints over the Mitchell's versus the Machines. It's, again, like Sony Animation, like under them, seems to be doing wonderfully. But had Phil Lord and Chris Miller been in charge of like the Spider-Man universe, if they were the Kevin Feige's of Sony's Spider-Man universe, I would be excited. But they don't have that. They have fucking schmucks like Amy Pascal and Avi Arad and Tom Rothman, who are some of the worst people working in the film industry today, in my opinion. So, yeah, we'll see, Chad. I'm not particularly excited for this Madam Web movie. I am prepared for it to be either as goofy and dumb as something like Venom or as boring and derivative of something like Morbius, Chad. Based on what we've heard, it seems to be very derivative of the Terminator franchise. But I'd be curious, Chad. I'd be curious. Sierra Spa agrees. Salutations. Hope you live long and prospering, good sir. Hey, Chris. Hey, Chad. Even after 20 years of Spider-Man, they seem so amateur. They do. It's like when Marvel proper and the MCU, they're running laps around Sony. You know, there's no excuses. That's the same thing why I've been criticizing and chastising Warner Bros. For so long. And the same with Sony. It's like you have a model from a company you've worked with recently for the last several years, and it's like, why aren't you looking at that model and saying like, okay, we could do some of this, you know? And they can, but they choose not to because they have incompetence in positions of power and influence, and they give a schlock, and it's frustrating. But in any case, chat, I'm not looking forward to it, but we'll see.